Your sexual prowess and ability as a man is extremely, extremely important. Very, very important. You need to be Dr. Steelhammer. You need a drill. You need to lay down that pipe. Now, I know this is a subject that's really touchy for people and this and that, but we have to remove the taboo off of it to have this conversation. And you need to step into this with full calm and confidence as a man. This is super, super important, right? Now, we all have varying degrees of sexual experience, and that's fine. But this is a no shame, no judgment zone. However, early on, I realized that when you handle your business in the bedroom with women, it's like you cast a spell on them. I'm telling you, being that guy goes a long way. And it's one of many things that you need to not only secure your position in a relationship, but to also keep your woman in check. Temptation and all that is at an all-time high for both sexes, but especially women, right? They can go on social media, they get a ton of dudes coming after them, right? That's just the world that we live in right now, and it's crazy. And that's not going to change at least anytime soon, and probably not in our lifetime if you're around my age. So the reason I'm bringing this up is, number one, we have to take the taboo off of it. Number two, you need to become comfortable with this. Like, as an example, with your sexual partners right now, your relationship, your wife, your girlfriend, whatever it is, you need to have an open conversation about this. Because understanding where you guys are at, like if you're satisfied, dissatisfied, number one, has to be established. But number two, this is where you strengthen your bond, and this is where you become better in the bedroom as a man. Because every single woman's going to be different. However, there are some general things that you can do to heighten this for you and put you in a different category. If you can put yourself in that top category in this sector, man, you will raise your value tremendously as a man. Because one thing that really starts to fall apart with two people over time is passion. And they become roommates. Everything becomes mechanical. The spice is gone. The excitement is gone. And to a degree, that's going to go away with time anyway, especially if you're in a relationship or a marriage, right? And you're not going to be horny little 18-year-olds forever. I totally get that. However, there's certain things that you can do and things that you need to keep in mind to help you with this. So let me kind of walk you through what I did to really make sure that this category was always handled, right? I've had my issues in relationships, but I know, as an example, I always handle my business in the bedroom, and I knew that was important. And there was a lot of steps that I took. So the first one I brought up earlier, which is you have to become totally comfortable with the subject, right? You may only have a certain amount of people that you can talk to about it, but you need to remove the embarrassment from it, because sex is a normal part of life. I mean, it's in advertising, it's everywhere, it's thrown in our face. And again, with your girlfriend, the people that you hook up with, like whatever it is, whatever category that you fall into as you're watching this video as a man, you need to have that conversation and number one, be comfortable with it, right? Like, this is something that you can't be embarrassed to talk about or shy away from, right? Like, this has to be something that is as comfortable as tying your shoes. And once that is unlocked, then you start to unlock some of the other things. But if you're embarrassed and, it's still like you're 5 years old and you're shy around this subject, that's a problem. You need to get over that. It's not that we have to hyperly become super sexual or anything. You just have to become comfortable with the subject, especially talking to your girlfriend, your wife, or your significant other, whatever it is. And that has to be handled early on, and you have to really get over that hump. And for a lot of people, religion, culture has made it taboo. However, in your private life with the people that you're doing the business with, there has to be a level of comfort established, and there has to be a subject that's openly spoken about, and there's no issues there or qualms, regardless if you consider yourself introvert or whatever it is, right? That's number one. Number two is you need to become, and this is kind of my mindset as a lover with the opposite sex, right? Is I relish in and I've learned to get pleasure out of the other person getting pleasure, right? So of course we just want to get in and get our rocks off and get it over with, right? Because of the excitement of the moment. But I like to build anticipation. I like to go above and beyond for them, right? I like to take my time. Like, one thing that's super magnetic in the sexual kind of moment and the whole, we can say, act, is touch. Touch you can use to anchor certain emotions. Touch stimulates people, right? Touch is electric because we're electric beings. And that's something that as men, you really need to become proficient at when it comes to women. How you touch them, right? The strength of your touch, because there's moments where you're going to grab them hard and maybe throw them or be very manly in quotes. And there's going to be other times where you're going to caress them or or touch them and stimulate them in certain ways. That isn't necessarily what I want to do, but I understand what it does for the woman. And this has come through many conversations and many experiences to kind of figure out what makes them tick, what makes their heart beat fast, what excites them, right? What builds anticipation. Because again, the act itself, when you look at it beyond just, I'm going to get in and get out in a couple minutes, it starts to take a different shape. Now it becomes an experience, and you're creating an experience for you and her. And after a while, I begin to relish in it. Because for us, we're simple as dudes, right? Like, we just want to, have an orgasm and that's it. But it's different for girls. And a lot of girls either don't experience orgasm during intercourse, or they find it very difficult because they're not comfortable with their partner or this and that. And this is why, as men, you have to really tune into that, because if you have that key that unlocks that comfort for them and allows them to be totally comfortable and good in a sexual encounter, that goes a very long way, right? And I think a lot of men overlook that. And the touch aspect is really, really key, right? Because it serves as a way to stimulate them. And remember, everybody's different. Like, even as men have different spots that are a little bit more sensitive to them, right? Like, I know for a fact, a spot that's super sensitive for girls that most of you know is like the side of the neck, the back of the neck, right? Whether you caress it or kiss right here, these places are super, super, sensitive. Same thing with like the belly button area, the lower back, right? Touching there, right? Kissing there, super, super sensual. And those are more higher sensitivity areas. And again, none of this is going to actually stick if the first point isn't understood, which is you got to be comfortable with this stuff, man. And you got to gauge. So the first couple times, and I'm doing this stuff, I'm paying attention to the woman. And the responses that you get tell you everything that you need to know. So what do we want to do? We want to rush and just jump into it. We want to take our pants off and just get to town. Well, how about instead of touching the private parts, you begin to caress and inch your way there slowly, right? Build that anticipation, work your way there, right? And then pay attention. I also really enjoy talking to the woman, because if you really want to seduce a woman and you really want to get in her head, during the sexual experience, you have to understand that the subconscious mind is like a sponge. And because the emotions are high and all the sensory input is super, super high, again, I'm not going to recommend that we do this to manipulate people, but it's a very deep way that you can get into somebody's head and really create intense pleasure with the words that you use. Because a lot of the words and things that you say are going to be taken as command. And it can get to the point where you can anchor so much that like your touch can get a woman off or really excite her or make her orgasm, right? Without even really touching her down there or anything. And if you can get to that point, and I have with many women, it's super, super powerful, because they're not going to have that connection with most people. Yeah, to get there is a multi-step process, right? It's not just one quick little thing. But you got to understand that you have to look at the second point that I said, which is you got to relish in that and understand from the perspective of, I really want to please that girl in this experience and in this arena. And when you do, it's cool. Now, I really learned to enjoy that. I know most dudes probably don't care. But to me, it makes the whole act and experience much, much better versus just get in, get out. And people view it a lot as transactional. And another reason, this is the third one, I would really recommend for the most part that you, especially as a man, you stay away from drugs, alcohol, and that kind of stuff, because it pollutes the experience. When two people hook up and they're like drunk or whatever, it's a disaster, man. Like, to me, again, you're not fully present. Like, to me, it's not interesting, and it takes away from it, and it makes it more meaningless, and just, it's sloppy. Now, I know for a lot of people, they need to do that to build up the courage, and especially women, I know a lot of them get drunk, and guys too, just to be comfortable enough to be there and actually be present and enjoy it. They have to be drunk or something like that. That's a problem. And I would start with little exercises, right? Like, if you're a man or a woman watching this, you got to get comfortable being naked. Like, if you are ashamed to be naked, you're not going to be comfortable in sex. If you're ashamed to be seen by other people, especially the person that you're going to hook up with or have intercourse with, naked, that's a problem. That's a problem, right? So these are all things that we have to work on in order to have that level of comfort and have that presence. Because as a man, it's everything. The woman could feel pretty good, but if you're demonstrating insecurity or discomfort getting naked, or, right, you get what I'm saying? then that's going to project on the girl and she's going to become uncomfortable. And a lot of women cannot climax or really enjoy intercourse because the dude himself is very like, right? And I get it, right? If it's your first, second, or third sexual experience, you're not going to be there. But if you guys have a girlfriend or somebody that you guys are regularly hooking up, this is where you need to talk and do the thing together and get better together and enjoy what gets each other off. This is how you become more equipped and a better sexual partner, because I'm not here condoning that you sleep with a million people to build your skill. All you need is one person and you guys get on the same page and you can become very skilled just with one person, right? And then guess what? That's going to strengthen your relationship. Now you're going to be able to please each other much better. But this is very important. This is one of many pillars of a relationship. It's not the only thing, but it becomes extremely important. I mean, take a look at relationships. A lot of them start to fall apart when people stop having sex or showing interest in each other, right? Now, part of it is, people gain weight and they lose their appeal physically, but the other part is that they never really got in tune or they don't really understand each other at that level. And when you're close like that and you have a relationship where you're having intercourse with somebody, you're close enough to, again, if you're going to share your body with them, you got to have these conversations and really think from that perspective of, I really want to deliver. Because for me, it's not my own pride or ego. It's, I want to make the experience beneficial for them. Because I know as a dude, it's easy for us to enjoy sex. Like, it's much more simple than it is for a woman. It's much more emotional for them. For us, it's just a physical act. We don't care. We can get in, get off, get out, and we don't skip a beat. It's different for a woman, right? So I just think that this has to be discussed more, and you really have to begin to treat this as something that's important, because, again, a lot of what we do as men is rooted in this. Like, if we know that we can't talk to a woman, if we know we can't please a woman, and if we know that we're sloppy or incapable of doing things with the opposite sex, at our core as a man, we feel incomplete. This is why a lot of men who, in their mind, right, whether it's true or not, but if in their mind they believe, oh man, I can't get a girlfriend, I can't get a girl, and they really would like to, because that's our prerogative as human beings, is to reproduce. But if we feel like at our core we're incapable and we can't do it, we're going to suffer. This is what's causing people to get depressed or do these weird sexual acts, because they're not proficient in this category. That's why it's not the only thing, but it has to be put to a level of importance for you, because if not, you're going to suffer as a man. If you have the option and you choose not to partake in it, that's one thing. But most people aren't in that position. They can't. They'd like to, but they can't. And that's a problem, but it can be fixed. It can be fixed. So I think this is super important, right? I'd be curious to see if any of you are in relationships, like what you think about this, or if you're a single person, right? But I know this category for me, I really put it up there in regards to priority very early on, and I made sure to equip myself with skills. So, I'm not saying I'm the most perfect person in the bedroom with the opposite sex, but I know I'm in a top category, but it's because I really champion this stuff and I approach it differently from a mental standpoint than most men. So it's something that at the bare minimum, right? You don't have to be top in the world, right, in your performance, but you got to be comfortable with it and you have to be very proficient. That alone will put you in a top category, but we have to remove at least the conversation level of this. Remove the taboo off of it, talk about it, and make sure that we're taking this serious and putting ourselves in that position, right? Because if you fault in this area, something's always going to be missing from your relationships, and it's going to eat away at you inside. But thankfully, it's something that you can work on, and you don't need to be born, because this has nothing to do with penis size or any of the other stuff. As much as people want to make it all about that, it has nothing to do with that, right? So take this a little bit more serious. I'd be curious to see what the comment section looks like, and we'll see you on the next video. All right, peace.